Filial cannibalism is the consumption of offsprings, or, to be more specific in the betta hobby, when the father eats his own eggs. How often does male bettas eat their eggs? What leads them to eat eggs? How can we diagnose this behavior? And lastly, what is the cure? I'm going to unpack all of this in this video. And if you're new here, my name is Lee, and I've been spawning bettas for the past 28 years in the United States. This is my betta Jazz. He's almost 2 years old and still chasing the girls. In my experiences, male bettas will eat some eggs every single time they spawn. Only on rare occasions will the father eat all the eggs. There's no scientific data as to why yet, but I've seen it time after time in my fish room where if the father was not well conditioned, he will eat the eggs. This leads us to our next topic. There are 4 reasons to answer this question. Number 1, the father wasn't well conditioned before the spawn, and he needs to replenish his energy. Both the female and male bettas go through a tremendous stress of fasting during the spawn. I don't like to feed them during courtship or spawn because it interrupts the spawning process, which can lead to a spawning disaster. This is why so many veteran breeders preach to condition bettas prior to breeding. Number 2, the eggs were not fertilized and beginning to mold, spoil, and rot. At that point, the male betta has no choice but to eat those bad eggs to not contaminate the fertilized eggs. Number 3, the father is inexperienced and doesn't know what to do with the eggs. One would think, isn't that a natural betta instinct? If he knew how to build a bubble nest, shouldn't he know how to put the eggs up there? Well, clearly that's not the case. If he's lucky, he might have a female who will show him how to put eggs in the nest. Lastly, he's just a bad boy and will eat eggs no matter what. There's really only one way to diagnose if this is an egg-eating betta, and that's to quickly spawn him again with a different female in the very same tank. He's already marked that tank as his territory. There's already plenty of hormones in there to entice the new female to ovulate. And most likely, the water is very low on ammonia because you haven't fouled up the water with food yet. I've had much more success going down this route. Sadly, there are the outliers that will continue to eat eggs even during the second spawn. There's now enough evidence to deem that this is an egg-eating betta. There's no magic pill or exercise one can do to stop egg-eating bettas. If you insist on breeding a known egg eater, the only method that has worked for me to save the eggs is to either remove the eggs or the father. Here's how to determine which method to use. If you're lucky enough to catch the spawn and you see that the male is not putting the eggs in the nest and instead continuing to pick up the eggs one after another, trust me, he's enjoying a caviar buffet. In a successful spawn, you'll continue to see both the male and female pick up eggs and plant them in the nest and then continue the process over and over. At this point, if he's eating the eggs, take a turkey baster and carefully suck the eggs into another container. Continue doing this until the spawn is completed, and you'll know because he'll start chasing the female like crazy. At this point, remove both parents, lower the water to 2 inches, and carefully place the eggs back in. Some will float and some will sink, but that's okay. If they're fertilized, they'll hatch. Make sure the eggs are separated so they don't spoil. That's right, having eggs stick together will cause the eggs to mold. You can take a plastic utensil or your pinky, just make sure you wash your hands, and separate the eggs. I've seen other breeders use methylene blue to limit fungus growth, but I've personally never tried it. If you made it this far, congratulations. It's now time to start thinking about what to feed your fries, because you'll only have 72 hours from the time they hatch to find them the tiniest food, or else they'll start disappearing. In Chapter 6 of my YouTube betta spawning book, we'll be discussing how to raise betta fries. Happy betta keeping.